Hello and welcome to the demo video for the Multiple Project Manager. This is a remake of one of the original prime range spreadsheets that I made. This is one where you have a whole bunch of projects and they all run the same way. The whole key of this particular spreadsheet is that we're assuming that all of your projects are going to in fact follow the same process and have the same tasks involved and take the similar period of time. If each project is completely different and it's just all over the place and you do them in different orders and it takes different times, and this isn't going to work for you. This is a spreadsheet to monitor a whole bunch of projects, assuming that you go through the same process each time. So you can set up the process, tell the spreadsheet how long it's going to take, and then simply follow that process for each and every project, and it'll tell you whether you're on time or not and all the rest of it. So let me explain to you how this works. It is quite a simple spreadsheet, and even this new one's even been simplified. I've tried to make it as user-friendly as possible. So this first page, you can put in how many days warning for upcoming tasks, and also you can put in bank holidays. Now, bank holidays are already calculated behind the scenes. But if the bank holiday date changes, if, for example, a bank holiday falls on a Sunday or whatever, and then moves to a Monday, it'll know that. But if they actually change one of the dates of the bank holidays, you can put the actual date in, the new bank holiday date, put the year in as well, and then that will essentially switch the two. So if we said 1st of January 2022, it says, no, there's not a bank holiday. So I think it would be on the 3rd of January would be the bank holiday. Yep, there it goes. It finds it. You can say, move that one to the 4th. And it'll then move that bank holiday from the 3rd to the 4th, if that's the case of what you want to do. If there's extra bank holidays, you can add up to 3 of them in here. Just put the date and the year in here for the bank holidays and add them on. But if it's a normal year and everything's working as it should, just ignore that, and the bank holidays will be taken into consideration. So yeah, you put in how many days warning you want, and now all you need to do is lay out your process. So you can put in a full task name, because I've wanted an abbreviation as well for the headers to keep the columns narrow. So you can put in the full task name of each of up to 20 tasks that you would do throughout the project in the order that you do them. Then you can put an abbreviated name, make sure you don't have any duplicates in either of these, so that you just know a shortened version of each of these names, just for the headers on the other page. And then how many working days they take. This will take into consideration bank holidays and weekends, but how many working days do each of these take? And then the last column is just to simply tick which tasks are flexible. Now, what I mean by flexible is you might have, well, let's start from the beginning. Each of these tasks are going to follow on from one another. So if you 7 days late for the first task, you're already late for the second task. So it wants to monitor your overall project success as well as for each individual task. Now, what it means by flexible is there might be a task where you, for example, hand the project back to a client to do their part in the process. Now, when you hand it back to the client, you might say, well, they need 3 days to do this, but they might take 2 weeks to do it. So that shouldn't penalize then the rest of your tasks that you have to do after that. So flexible, almost, it's another way of saying it is it's a break in the project. It doesn't matter how long that task takes. The next task will kick off from the time that the flexible task finishes. So you don't keep falling behind. So if all of these tasks are your responsibility and you want the project to be monitored as such, that's fine. But then if you've got a task here, for example, where you give it back to the client, if the client keeps this for 3 months, they can't complain that these tasks are then late. That's really the bottom line. So this would be a flexible task, which means it monitors up to this point. It allows for 2 days. It'll tell you the task is late, but these tasks don't kick off until this task is finished. So that's what it means by a flexible task. Hopefully that makes sense. So because we put that in, I'll show you what that means later on. So when you get to the project list, before we go to the project list, the next tab that you would fill in would be the client list. So you can fill in all your client names here, assuming that you're going to be doing multiple projects for a particular client. The reason why I've done it like this is so that you can actually list your clients, so we can get a breakdown of each client, so you can see how many projects you've done, etc. So here you can see a list of your clients, how many active projects you've got, how many overdue tasks, due today, upcoming, how many have been completed on time and late. These are tasks. And how many projects have been completed on time and late. So this keeps a running total. All you need to do is put in new clients. Just don't put any duplicate clients in. That's really all. And then list each new client. Every time you list a new client, they will be available for selection on the project list. And this is the tab where you basically keep track of all of the dates. And this is the main sheet in the spreadsheet. This is where all the action happens. So how do you complete this? Well, it's quite simple. You select which client you want. So each line will be a project. You put in the job reference. I've just put in client 125, job reference 80, but you'd obviously put in a job reference. And then what this will do is it'll create a client dash job reference. So this line will be client 1, job A, for example. And that one, you can then go in and fill in the various bits of information. So when you start the project, put in the start date. The start date then kicks it off and activates the next date. So as you can see, these dates are both upcoming. These are flagging up in yellow, saying we need to get these tasks done. If this was in fact the 1st of March, for example, and you see it immediately turns red because this task is well overdue now, rather than just being due. So the next task will change color accordingly and tell you what's happening. What you can also do is you can also put in a due date. What's the advantage of putting in a due date? Well, what that means is here where it says on track according to the deadline, even if this project was late, if you didn't put a due date in, it would still say it's on track according to the deadline. But if you say, well, I need to have this done by then this will flag up and go, based on where you are in this project and based on how long you should take, you're not going to make it in time. So it'll track according to the deadline due date. If you leave this blank, what it means is you don't have a deadline, which means it'll always be on track, even if you're running late. It'll still warn you that the task is overdue, but it won't show that the project is being a problem if you don't have a due date in. So if you have a due date, you want to put those in. You can edit them as you go along as well. And then all you do is simply enter each date as you complete each task. So, and what you can see is these ones that are filled in, some of them are dark green and some are lighter green. The lighter green ones mean that they were completed but late. The dark green ones mean that they were completed on time. So the spreadsheet knows when each of these are due to be completed. So if I put, for example, this one as in the 4th of April, or the 4th of April as in today, completed, then it goes green, was done on time, and this is blue, which means that it's a future task. It's not yet active, but it'll come up at some point. So you just simply fill in the date when you complete each of those tasks for each of the projects, and they'll change color accordingly. Yellow is a warning, orange means it's due today, red means it's overdue, and the blue means it's a future task coming up. The light green means you've completed it and it was late. Dark green, you completed it and it was on time. And all of that data will then go to the other reporting pages to report on these tasks. But obviously these tasks are open. These ones here have been completed, done on time or done late, and it tells you the current status. The last thing that you can do on here is you can put a job on hold. So if you come and put this job on hold, for example, it just grays out that job, and that job won't track anything. It won't do any alerts or anything like that until you come and mark it back on again. And when you do that, it takes all the dates as per normal. So it doesn't delay the dates. It still puts them in when they should have been done. But this is just a temporary measure to come and mark something as on hold, for example, so you don't get all of those alerts popping up. As soon as you take it off hold, it will still use these dates. So you might have something that's massively overdue, or you can just simply come and change the start date and adapt things accordingly if you want to kind of redo the project as it were. So yeah, that's that. That is the main data entry page. You've got your client list and your setup, and those are really the only tabs that you would be filling in information. The last one would be this archive tab here, but all this does is if you wish to remove some of your clients from your project list, if you want to remove some of these projects, if they're really old, because you've got, for example, 2,500 lines, you may get to the point where you start running out of space, in which case you can start from client, you can select all the way across to the end of the last job, copy, you can come to archive projects, right click and paste values. Not normal paste, that pastes all the conditional formatting. You can see it goes all funny. You want to do paste values just to paste the data. Once you pasted the values across there, the 1, 2, 3, you then got the data here. You can go back to your project list. You can right click and say clear contents, and then you can resort by whichever column. I'd assume probably the start date to put them back in order again. That would then mean that you've cleared those ones out of here to free up some space. You put them in the archive. They're not monitored. They're not reported on. They're not doing anything. It's just literally the dates, the numbers stored here in case you need to reference them again. You're not just clearing them out. You've at least got a place to keep the data, but it's not doing anything to the spreadsheet. This stuff that's on this page is working towards the reports, and I'll show you the 3 reports that you can create. Number 1 is a list of ranked tasks. So all this does is it literally puts your tasks in order. This is page 1 of 2 potentially. So what you can do then is you can change this to go page 2. There aren't any on page 2 at the moment. But all that does is if this list was full, you then see the next list. So they're all ranked in order of what's due next. It tells you the client, the job reference, the task, and whether it's flexible or not. You can include flexible tasks or you can exclude flexible tasks. Obviously, uncheck that. It takes out the flexible tasks. And if you include it, it includes it in. And you can see what tasks are due, ranked in order. So the most urgent ones at the top. So that's quite a useful sheet to come. You can't change anything here. You can just view it here, and then you can go back to your project list to update them as and when you do the different tasks. Your project report, this one is one where you can come in and you can select any of those client project combinations that you've got, and it pulls it up and shows you, when it started, when the due date, when its end date, if it's on hold, each of the different tasks, done on time, done late, due date, etc. It gives you a breakdown of that project. So if your client calls up and says, where are we on such and such, and you can save this one as a PDF and go, that's what's done so far. As you can see, they're all done on time. This one's due that date, etc. You can save it as a PDF. Otherwise, this is just for your reference. If you want to call it up, have a look and see, what's going on with a particular project. The overall report gives you a breakdown more of completed jobs. This project report obviously shows you the current ones. Your rank task shows you current. So this one shows you current and past. But the overall report is really looking at all the tasks that are completed. So it looks at the tasks. It looks at these are overall projects. It looks at overall tasks. It looks at fixed tasks and flexible tasks. But it only looks at ones that have been completed. And it gives you a breakdown of the percentage that were completed late and on time being the dark green, late being the lighter green. So you can see all your projects here. You can also compare, so you can come and select a client. So if, for example, client 1 is saying to you, I don't know, why are my projects never done on time? You can actually say, well, hold on, your overall projects have all been completed on time. The normal rate is 66.67% success rate. You've got 100%. There's no need to complain. Yours is better than the average. Those kind of things. So you can compare a client here. You can compare not only the overall projects, but the overall tasks, and then you fix the unflexible. So if this flexible task was 80% completion, this was 0, you can say to the client, well, hold on, how come you never come back to me with these flexible tasks on time? So you can just get a breakdown of how the average compares with their particular client. You can see the overall. And here you can see each of the different so this is the selector client, and this is the overall all projects. All projects, you can see, got the white background over here and over here, whereas the client to compare has got the green background there and there, so you know which graphs are for which. But this one breaks it down per task. So you can actually see, hold on a second, this flexible task never gets done on time. What can I do about that? Do I need to extend the period that's allowed? Do I need to, I don't know, hit people in the head, whatever it is that you need to do to get the things moving along? And here you can see, so it gives you a breakdown of each task. So you can see which tasks are generally performing well and which ones aren't, if you then need to address your processes. So that overall report is automatically generated. Your project report, I said, you select which one you want to see. If it's blank, there's nothing there, but it will pull up the respective information. This is all of your ranked tasks. That's your client list. And this is the page where you have all your projects, and you just simply put in the initial information and then just put in each date as and when you get to it, and they'll change color when they're coming up due, overdue, etc. So yeah, I really hope that helps you. I hope that all makes sense. I've tried to make it as simple as possible, but yet giving you as much flexibility as possible in order to do the projects. If you need something more bespoke, please get hold of me. Let me have a look and see what we can do for you. This is really just a generic, yes, it is fairly comprehensive, but it's a generic kind of way of managing projects. I realize they don't always fall so nicely into the same process. Maybe we're looking to look at something more custom for you. But if this works for you, I wish you all the best with your project management and using the spreadsheet. Thank you very much and goodbye.